Hey everyone, it's Peter from Daydream Nation, and I've got John Clauser from My Music Corner on the channel. How are you, my mate?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a little while.
It is, and it's great to have you back on the show. We are going to pick 10 great album covers of the 80s that were hard rock or heavy metal. They might be the best hard rock or heavy metal album covers of all time. They're our favorites. We're going to share it with the audience. So, without further ado, John, we're going to get cracking. So, over to you,
Right.
John. Throw
All
it up.
right. All right. Well, I'm going to throw up.
Here's my first one I'm going to throw up here. Uh, let's talk a little bit about this band here called Picture. I've mentioned these guys a few times on Contrarians and Grant's Rock Warehouse and stuff. Dutch metal. Came out in the late 70s. This album here, Diamond Dreamer, came out in 1982. You imagine having this next to Number of the Beast and Screaming for Vengeance? I'll tell you something. This guy's vocals, and I cannot pronounce the guy's name because it's a odd name, but what a voice! He's got a very good siren voice, and this is a wonderful, wonderful, a very Nwabum flavored, Deep Purple UFO kind of flavored. Maybe I don't know. I'm not a good one to judge as far as what it sounds like, but Diamond Dreamer, this is a great, super album to check out.
All right,
I love this album.
let's talk about the album cover. So that's very unusual. That's the name of the game. So is that like a fan, or tell us a bit about the album cover?
Well, from what I understand, I've only liked this band for a few years. I only really discovered them just recently. So my guess is there's the title, the first song on this is called Lady Lightning. And I think there's a like a glass shatter after a lightning strike. So I think that may tie into it. I'm not totally sure, but
It's
it's pretty cool
it's
because
intriguing.
on the back, of course, you have the window breaking. So, but yeah, it's and you gotta admit, she's pretty hot. I don't know who she is, but she's pretty hot.
It's a really odd angle. She's like,
Yeah, yeah. It's like she's
it's
trying to
like
hold on
that.
to her motorcycle or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. All right, that's a left field choice. Fantastic. 1980, a masterpiece. I love this album cover because this album cover is heaven and hell. You've got the
Yeah.
angels, heaven, and you've got a little bit of vices with the cigarette smoking and playing cards. You can't tell me that 1984 Van Halen didn't crib from this and a ton of other albums. And I
Oh yeah.
love the pencil
Yes.
drawing on the back. It's so heroic of the band.
Yeah.
This is, you know, one of my favorite Black Sabbath albums. This is the reissue, but I just love this
Right.
album cover, and I think I've got a ton of T-shirts that share that. So there you go, Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell.
All right. All right. So my next one is a little band out of Texas, Dangerous Toys, with their first album, the self-titled album, with this lovely little creature named Beelzebub, the clown. That was their mascot coming out of that little Jack in the Box thing. You get this little creepy room thing going on in the back with all this kind of, all the little spider webs and all the crazy stuff on these shelves. They kind of fell in that Guns N' Roses sound, but they didn't really sound that much like Guns N' Roses, except for maybe Jason McMaster's vocals kind of have that raspy feel to it. But man, what a fun album this is! But I love Tommy Ponz's drawing here of this character. He would go on to do their all four of their album covers, and yeah, he's this is just one crazy looking creature. And I've talked to Tommy a little bit about this in on Messenger. He said there was even crazier designs for this first album cover, so I can only imagine.
Well, it's a beauty, and it certainly goes into we should have been a contender that band.
Yes, I think so. I think so. But again, I think that this came out in like 88, 89, something like that, and it just fell into that lump of everything coming out at once. Everybody's trying to sound like Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith, or whatever. and then it just everything just fell apart by the wayside, and then yeah, there you go. But yeah, still think that Danger Story is a great band for me. I love them.
Good stuff. My next one is Y&T Open Fire. I really like this one because it gives a little bit of the excitement of the fans. Remember the fan experience when there was a ballad or there was some sort of put up your lighters for a particular song, and it sort of shares the experience, the communion of a Y&T concert. And then on the back, you can't get more explosive
Great live
like that.
shots.
Yeah, you got all the live shots and the explosions and the fireworks and the pyrotechnics. Y&T,
Nice.
man, could have been a big contender if it wasn't for the record company and probably some decision making.
Yeah.
But I love that album cover. And this is
Yeah.
the Japanese with the obi strip, and it's a
Very nice.
crack of an album.
Yes. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, this one's a pretty basic cover, but I'll tell you what, they're to me ain't nothing. These guys were just scary when you looked at them. Come on, little under the blade. Yeah, okay, this is the glam look, but then you turn it around and you see these guys coming at you. And yeah, I wouldn't want to mess with them either. But I love this. This album is probably my favorite Twisted Sister album. Always has been, always will be. And I just think this is just such a menacing shot of them. I don't think the Atlantic remix is I think D looks too happy on that on that one. So it's like, nah, I'll stick with this version. Thank you very much.
It's a very strong person. It's one of those personality album covers. You get a sense of the band and the lead singer and his persona by the album
Yep.
cover. That's a good one.
Yes.
Whitesnake, Come and Get It. Whitesnake don't do good album covers, but this one I love, 1981. And, it's like Adam's Apple and, The Forbidden Fruit. And if you look at the
Hmm.
snake, very controversial in the day.
Oh yeah.
But this is the album that got me into it. And then you've got the broken silver apple and all the band photos. I love this album cover. I think this
Nice.
is the best Whitesnake album cover. Whitesnake, Come and Get It from 1981.
Very, very cool.
All right. With my next one, I'm going to pay homage to an artist that we just recently lost. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Ionis is his first name. Fate's Warning, Awaken the Guardian. Man, Ionis did a great cover with this one, as well as Spectre Within, and then he did a lot of Uriah Heep's covers, and I think even a Quiet Riot one. But boy, this album was the one that really got me into Fate's Warning, the last album of the John Arch era, and I'll tell you, there's just something so majestic about this cover. God, I love this thing.
Yeah,
Um,
your eyes are looking into the distance. It's got
yes,
maybe a Roger Dean feel, or in that sort of periphery. Yeah, it's an
yes,
interesting one. That's an intriguing
yeah,
album cover. Well done.
yes, yes.
Good.
I love, and like I said, rest in peace, Ionis.
Personality album covers. Can't get more personality than this man. 1987, 88, I
Six,
think.
86, I think it was.
Yeah,
80.
86. David Lee Roth, Eat 'em and Smile. This album's got a lot of different sort of musical genres. You got hard rock, heavy metal, bit of jazz, bit of funk, bit of, old time soul. And, the album cover really sums it up because he is a chameleon, and he's playing all these different characters. And I love the back.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah.
David
Yeah.
Lee Roth, Eat 'em and Smile. I think that's a great album cover.
All right. This is
Another
another.
band that I thought, man, these guys should have broke big, but again, I think their timing was just a little bit off. Another area from the Boston, New England area, Malaya Rage and Kill to Survive. You got this crazy skeleton chief, Indian chief, and all the bodies he's laid behind. Man, I remember buying this, or not this particular thing. I bought it on cassette originally, and I remember the lady at the music store. She said, "Man, we got this album," and I'm like, "I don't even want to put this out because this is such a disgusting looking cover." And you could tell she was not into heavy metal or anything. I'm like, "Here, let me take a look at it." It was like 1988, and I took a look at it. I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! Oh, I'm buying it." It's like, Oh man, you weird man. Where are you buying that crap for? Probably one of my favorite albums of all time. Malaya Rage, Kill to Survive. Another band I think should have been bigger, but just came out a little too late, I think.
That band logo looks very similar to Lizzie Borden. I think it's a little bit of a steal, in fact. Yeah, very similar.
Maybe.
Yeah, I've seen that album. I will pick it up. I've seen that
Good,
in record fairs and various stores and never picked it up. No, I
good
will check.
powerhouse thrash.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I love this. It's a staged album cover. It's very sort of artistic, but it's the court of Aussie, isn't it? That's what's going to be happening at Birmingham in July. It's going to be like he'll be sitting on the throne, and all this madness will be happening around him. All these bands. But
Yeah.
I've always liked this album cover, and he does pretty good album covers. No More Tears, those first couple. Yeah, I really like this. So
Yep.
no rest for the wicked.
That was actually the first time I saw him was on that tour. Saw
Nice.
him on that tour with
White Lion had just released Big Game previously, and Vixen was the opening acts. So
Nice,
that was a
nice lineup. Nice
that
lineup.
was a that was a very good lineup. Vixen was great, White Lion was great, and that was probably the I only saw Ozzy 3 times, and that was the best time I saw him. The other two
Right.
times he sounded terrible. So well, I'm gonna stick on the Ozzy thing, believe it or not, because my next one, come on,
It's iconic. It's
come on.
iconic. Yeah.
With Ozzy's kid here in the background chuckling away, and it's like, man,
Yeah, it is. It's sort of comical. It's a little bit tongue in cheek. Um, did anyone see that movie Poltergeist 2? Do you remember
I
this
did.
character?
Yes, yeah, I saw it in the theater. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He was easily the most disturbing character in that movie. I like this.
yeah.
Among the Living, Anthrax have always got a tongue in cheek, a nice sense of humor. And I just love that, your eyes instantly go to this character and you get a sense of feel that what the personality of this album will be like. Among the Living, I love it. I think it's a great album cover. And
So many good, so many good songs on that. God,
yeah, I think they're a bit underrated. I mean, they're always regarded as the big four, but they're kind of it's always to me the three they talk about, and then you got Anthrax. They need
yeah.
to be recognised.
Well, speaking of the Big Four, let's talk about another band from the Big Four. And I see you have a copy of it in the background there. So oh wait, yeah, let's just yeah. I was introduced to them on the Live Undead EP. A buddy of mine had it. And then I was still in high school and I saw this in the record store. Not this album cover, not this particular one, but one like it. And I was like, oh, I gotta get this. I gotta get this. I still regard this as my favorite Slayer album. I will take this over Rain and Blood any day. But yes, there is so much demonic stuff going on here. I mean, it's just whew, it's brutal, but man, it's a cracker.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's personality. Again, you get a semblance of what you're going to be listening to, and it's not going to be
Hmm.
anything. Not going to be an easy listen. So yeah, that's a great album
Nope.
cover. Probably the best. And I think the album cover is strong. It puts an image that this is going to be something a little bit out there, outrageous, rough, tough, punky, in your face. And I don't think Motley ever had that sort of rough around the edges sound ever again.
No.
You know, the album cover, to be fair, is probably a bit tougher than the sound because there's a lot of pop sensibilities
Hmm.
in the music on this album. But I just think as an image, doesn't get much better than this Motley Crue.
Correct. Good choice. Yeah, it's funny about Motley Crue. That was an album that I'm like really into like 3 or 4 songs, and then the rest of it I'm like, I wasn't as big into. Shout at the Devil was a much um, leaps and bounds for me. But and speaking of the devil, let's instead of shouting at him, how about we'll just go with to hell with the devil. And which is weird. Of course, I followed that from after Hell Awaits, but but again, this is my original version what I got when I was in high school, and I've always loved this album. It's probably been my still my favorite Striper album. Of course, this is based off the Revelation 20 verse where the angels are throwing the devil into purgatory and stuff like that. But man, this was always such a great. This was always a great album cover. So I like this one. So yeah, I go from Slayer to Striper.
You're seeing some themes here, folks. That's what metal was in the 80s. There was a lot of religious
Yep.
overtones and darkness. Let's go a little bit science fiction. I was just recently did a show with Mike Lodano on the 50 years of Iron Maiden and covered Somewhere in Time. I'm going to put this album cover up. I think it's magnificent. And it's one of those album covers that it's so detailed. Me just putting this up, or even a thumbprint, wouldn't do it justice. You have to look at it,
No.
get out a magnifying glass. It's just a magnificent piece of art. It's really Maiden meets Blade Runner meets Isaac Asimov science fiction. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So many
Yeah.
great album covers. I was almost going to do Power Slave, but I said I've got to go by my heart. Somewhere in Time is their best album cover, and one of
Yeah.
the best album covers of the 80s.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, again, we didn't plan any of this out ahead of time, folks. I just want y'all to know with the Ozzy thing, and then we go because we both did Ozzy at the same time. So what do I pick? Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Iron Maiden, but I gotta go with Live After Death. Man, I'll tell you what. First off, I saw this tour, and it was just amazing as a 15-year-old to see this tour. Obviously not at Long Beach Arena, but I love this Eddie coming out of the grave and just all the the back here. You got it looks much better on vinyl than the CD, but this has always been. I don't. I will say I don't know if I love this album as much as I used to. I think the album itself has kind of worn a little on me now, but I still think it's one of the best live albums I think I've ever heard. But it's not one that I tend to reach for a lot anymore. But it is still a strong album. But I always loved that Eddie on this cover. So
Yeah, look, those Iron Maiden album covers in the 80s were magnificent. No, really, really good. Now, the next one I'm going to pick is it's not the most exquisite art. I would say it's even more comic book, a little bit pop art, but boy, it gets the message across. And it's probably my favorite album by this band. And I'm talking about Pyromania.
yep.
I think if you look at it, it really gets the message out that this is a bit of an explosive album. And this was their breakthrough. And I even like the back art where they've got all the
Hmm.
matches and, you know, and for a lot of folks, this is where it ended. you know, this is where, boom.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, yeah. But I
I'm
think,
one of them.
but nobody can deny this album
No.
cover is iconic.
Yes. Yes. Great album. I tend to go back and forth with that in High and Dry, but yeah, can't deny that one. Um, Now, if anybody knows me, you think I'm gonna maybe pick something? Oh, I don't know. Let's just throw it up there. Of course, I'm gonna pick a Wasp album
With the signature,
uh, with a Blackie signature over Chris's face. Let's just point that out. He seems to do that a lot, but again, game changer. The full band on the cover. You got the eyes in the background. You got the torture rack here with the skeleton up there. This just otherworldly, post-apocalyptic kind of look and feel here. Man, absolute game changer album for me. And of course, I've got to pick a Wasp album to stick into this. So
no, folks, the first two albums are killer. The Last Command, I got that on Record Store Day, and they've just done a remaster, and it sounds beautiful. So
yeah,
that'd be in my honorable mentions, even though it's not really the band, it's Blackie, but personality.
yeah.
Um, I reckon this is one of the greatest heavy metal album covers of the 80s because it puts a bit of a message. Now, when I saw this in the day, it scared the shit out of me. I didn't want to get it because I saw the album cover.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the way that Dio talks about it is, who's the monster? Is it Murray or is it the priest? It,
Right.
it sends a lot of messages, but it's definitely a very strong message. It's either between this and The Last in Line are my favorite Dio albums, but as an album cover, that is iconic 80s
Oh yeah,
metal to me.
absolutely. No, I can't deny that. Cannot deny that. But
Look, a lot of these folks you've probably seen, and they're picking this one, but this is called our 10 favorite or greatest heavy metal hard rock album clips. So,
yeah,
album covers,
too too many to list, people. Too many to list.
absolutely. Well, thank you very much for that, John.
Oh,
John,
thank you.
check him out on My Music Corner. Plenty of content, and also you can see him on the Contrarians. Lots of different shows. The weekly album show that I do, and folks, tell us what your favourite album covers are of the '80s, hard rock and heavy metal. Look, I'd love to do this again, John. We will do some more shows in 2025. So please like and
Absolutely.
subscribe to Rock Daydream Nation. And you'll see me and John doing more in 2025. All the best and cheers. See you later. Bye.